right?
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have a very, very exciting group of brilliant women this evening that I cannot wait to introduce you all to. My co-host to my side is my lovely sister, Liz Ferris, who is my chosen family. We have each other's backs. We're doing this every Thursday. We're doing a peer check-in, and we're just like supporting each other, saying what's up, checking in, seeing how it goes. Kind of like, you know, how you would do with a friend, but we thought we would do it online for you guys because we have really, really weird things that sometimes happen to us. Like today, I have a very interesting laundry list just off the top of my head. Hi, Poe. Hi, everybody who's here. Goldie, thank you for making it. So Liz Ferris is here. We all know Liz, Pokemon and Cults. If you don't subscribe, please subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button when you guys get here. If you're watching this on replay, thank you. I really, really, really appreciate it. I'm building my hours right now. We're also streaming live on everybody else's channels. We have below us Mirriam and Christi, who are the co-hosts of a very cool podcast. It's called the Lighthouse Project, presented by the Children of Scientology. And I will let you guys talk about what it's about. But for me, what it's about is a female voice on the topic of SA that we've been hearing about a lot lately, and your firsthand experiences and having guests on, also talking about different things, but just for this one, because the Masterson trial has been getting so much coverage, I know you guys have really been doing your due diligence, breaking it down and explaining what those things mean. Claire's thing was awesome, but we only got so much of it. And for anybody interested, please, please, please listen to this podcast. It's very professional quality. Both Christi and Mirriam were born into Scientology, and they're just fascinating women. Mirriam, would you like to start? Just like say hi if you want.
Hi, everyone. I'm hoping I'm going to survive this because my internet connection just needs to calm the fuck down right now because it's really bad.
Liz is too, to be honest.
But
yeah.
So good to see you again, Liz. I love your faces. I watch you guys all the time. Yeah. So what am I talking about? Jumping in. Yeah, what's happening?
Yeah, whatever you want to say hi to. I want to get Christi's introduction done too. I just wanted you to say hi. If you have a channel, because you're the podcast host, right? Do you have any other channel that you're doing or any other project you've been working on you wanted to talk about? Or
Mirriam?
Yeah. No other project currently.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Lighthouse Project. Yeah, so find us at the Lighthouse Project.
Yeah, okay, cool. That was kind of my question.
Children of Scientology, yeah.
Yeah, and Christi, you as well, right? This is your main project, Children of Scientology?
This is my life.
I love it.
Just kidding. No. Yeah, so the Lighthouse Project is the Children of Scientology has been around for some time, and that really was just to collect us up and have a community for all of us, and also an outward-facing presence. So we have a website, and we have a page on Facebook, and we have a clubhouse room and whatever, so that we can engage with kids outside. But then we have this private Children of Scientology group that we've had for a number of years, and that just lets us have these kinds of conversations only privately forever. The Lighthouse Project was just kind of, actually, the name and idea came from Victoria and Mirriam. I love the name so much, and it was just like, how can we shine a light on things kids need to know? Really try and expose the child experience, the youngest members of Scientology that never chose this thing for themselves. And what does that look like? And so that's really, we started with the Masterson case just because that was something that we could kind of dig into and try and decode for people, because there's so much beneath the surface of what you're seeing in court. And they don't, of course, allow all the detail that is necessary to understand it, especially if you were raised in it. So that's kind of where we started, but that is not where we will stop. We're going to go dig into everything about kids and cadets, and we have so many plans, so many great things we want to talk about. But mental health is a common conversation that we have. So here we are, you beauties.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Liz?
Yes.
Maybe she. Oh, I can hear you. You might be frozen, but I can hear you. Did you want to say hi to anybody or talk about anything on your mind right now?
That my internet is also on the and maybe I'm trying not to rip it out of the wall.
It's okay. Don't do that. You're here with us. We got you. I can put you backstage if you freeze too much. I can hear you right now, though. It's okay.
We're gonna peer support each other through our internet
Yeah.
connection. It's like
This is what we're doing tonight, you guys. Peer support. Oh, she
Okay.
left.
Goodbye.
She was over it. Mirriam,
she might try and jump back in.
Mirriam, I'll do the same.
Vanessa, checking back with you. I know you've got some significant things happening today.
Man.
How are you going?
Yeah, how are you going? Exactly.
I'm all right. I mean, there's some things that need to be talked about more in detail. I've definitely stayed away from the topic of something very near and dear to my heart because it's not something I wanted to publicly process. Like, there's things we choose to talk about in public, and then there's things that we only talk about with our loved ones because we want that support. And so I've definitely been careful with that because we have an organization on our back that loves to push our buttons and cause us as much emotional terror as possible. So we have people who have our backs all the time. But that being said, we go through a very interesting experience as just people who were born into this organization. I'm not sure what. I know, Mirriam, you're from England?
From Australia. I did go. I spent some time in England in my Sea Org career, so yeah, that was part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I had. Yeah, I thought you were stationed in England. Were you ever in LA?
I was stationed in England. No, you got that correctly. Yeah.
Oh, you were. And you just told me you were in LA. You were in a certain color shirt that I remembered.
Yes. So born in Australia, got human trafficked over to America. And then by Scientology, I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
And
let's just be clear.
Yeah, and then was forced into child labor by Scientology, groomed and raised to work in for them, and in like indentured servitude, or I don't even know if that's the right term. Basically, it was like human trafficking. That sums it up.
Indentured servitude sounds about right. Maybe like slave labor. I don't know.
Yeah, I was labor trafficked, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, my whole childhood was labor trafficking, pretty much.
The things you told me earlier were horrible, and it's just a different context than what people are normally used to. But we had a chat before this, and it was really rough, and it was disclosing some essay about our own personal childhoods, and Mirriam was very open in sharing, and I was super appreciative. So like, if you guys want to go back and check that out, that was the last hour.
Yeah, look, it's yes, lots. Well, let's just say I had a lot to battle. I had a lot to contend with from a very, very young age. And that's what's important about doing this sort of thing. It's like, okay, go through all that, and then what? Go through all that for nothing? How about like go through that and then take something?
We can see your face a little better. Maybe.
Do I need to scoot over?
Maybe a little, but I feel like I could see your face actually.
Okay.
There we go.
Close up. Extreme close up.
A little bit more intimate.
Yay. So what was the thing? Go through some really at times horrifying shit, and then don't do anything. Like, that's never been my thought. And so that's why this is important. That's why the Lighthouse Project is important to dive into. We do like the deep dive and go into detail. I won't do it today on a live, in such a short period of time, but we do go into detail into topics, and we try and impart anything that we learned along the way, or anything that's helping us currently. Maybe it's a book that's really like getting us through something, or there's some really fantastic books that I've sort of like
me too
collected along the way.
It's so fun to talk about what we've learned since, and then what we've made out of it, and what we think now. It's really cathartic, and I put you all on in the bathtub. If you guys
Oh,
haven't
okay.
listened to the Children of Scientology Lighthouse Project, it's on all the podcast things, so it's pretty easy to access, but they also have a YouTube now. So go subscribe, hit like, play them in the background, because we all want to be able to be in the algorithm so that people see everything. So I'm a brand new channel now. I'm on my own. I'm still doing Derated Daughters, but we're doing that because we each have very separate lives. It's very hard to plan. Honestly, it's just hard when we each have so many responsibilities every day of kids or pets or anything like that. So we're just trying to, like, this is a wild time for us, and we're trying to use our voices and
Oh, it's so wild. Vanessa, the gray zone, the name for that, tell us the background of that.
Sure. So, the way that we were raised was very, like, my mother said, if it's not green on white or red on white, it's not true, which is a even more inside phrase for if it's not written, it's not true. Which means I love the bobbing heads because she knows it's true. So
Heard it so many times.
Yeah, I know. It's just like a back of our hand, right? So if it's not written by L. Ron Hubbard, it's not true. And you're supposed to really own that. And so if it's a misunderstood word, it's because of you. Because if Ron didn't write it, like, it's a catch-all. So they say,
what about this one? Make it go right with green on white.
That's one I just saw recently on a button, and I was
oh
like,
my God,
no.
please. I'm going to vomit in my mouth right now. I have green on white behind
So-
me, and I won't be able to not say that now. And I'm going
shit.
to walk around being like, make it go right with green on white. Like, make a song
So-
about it. But
Just so everyone knows that the green on white is the color of the ink on white paper, which was the policies. So L. Ron Hubbard's policies were the way that he governed the organization and stuff like that, and infrastructure and things like that. Internal structure, that kind of thing. That was on green on white. And then the other stuff, which was the technical training type stuff, or auditing, or technical bulletins, were red on white. And that's where that comes from. But the general statement of if it isn't written, it isn't true, was the all-encompassing.
But so the thing is it's a play on words, because in the real world, they say some issues are not black and white, and some are, right? So when I went through having to take philosophy classes and learning a lot of different things that we really teased out from both sides. So you get assigned a side and then you fight it, right? And then you have to learn the other side, and you kind of learn, like, really old arguments that people have been trying to solve a long time, that were built into Scientology just to create fear or whatever. And they're kind of things that are almost unknowable. You just get to have an opinion on. There's not like a fact. It's not black and white. They're just areas that require a bit of nuance and, like, maneuvering. And I think that's the most compassionate way, is to take a lot of things into consideration, culture and all sorts of things. It's some things, though, are black and white, but what's going to happen in, like, for me, people who are animal abusers that's a black and white issue for me. Like, and I understand that people have black and white issues. For me, I thought it would be a good name, because there's a lot of terms along my studies that I've just, like, highlighted as things that I feel have honestly stopped us in our recovery, that I've had to tease apart. And they're big, big things that if I can pick a topic and then maybe do a little bit of legwork and go back and see what I wrote about it when I was actually being lectured by someone who's, like, an expert in the field of persuasion or whatever. And I made a note and I compared it to Scientology, because I went through this, but I went through it alone. And it would be really nice too, now that I'm speaking up a little bit, like, re-go through it and just discuss it with everybody. And then, some of the topics are going to be like certainty and responsibility, and really just get people to help me tease it out, because I've kind of figured out some things for myself, but I'm always open-minded. That's, like, what helped me get out of Scientology. And I think that empathy and communication is what's, like, been missing in our lives. So just processing it out loud, I don't think can hurt. It might be helpful for those of us who didn't have access to what it takes to go in person to, like, classes for a long time as an adult. It takes a lot of work, and I don't blame anybody for not doing it. It takes freaking being exhausted all the time. That's why I'm exhausted all the time. But that being said, it's really helpful in our recovery, in my opinion. So,
well, I agree, Vanessa, because the trouble with Scientology is that it is black and white, and and so it has to. That is part of the recovery. It absolutely is part of the recovery, and because humans are not just two-toned, we are nuances. We are the gray areas in between, because that's human behavior, and it's not always linear. And also, there's so many parts that make up a person, and so it's such a falsity. That's part of the falsity of Scientology, is that it is this way, you do it this way, and that's it. And so I just love this, and I think it's dangerous what you're doing.
I know.
In terms of,
tell me about it. Like, I'm not.
No, I mean, sometimes it's good to be a dangerous person, especially when it comes to Scientology, because this is the danger zone of, like, this is the part that they don't want people to. They don't want you to discuss it. They don't want you to ask questions. They don't want you to have conversations.
You have to use your head and be able to translate between two different worlds. And really, it's hard to constantly go between those parts of my brain. I've tried to, like, not block it out, but encourage new growth in other areas. That's the beautiful science of neuroplasticity, is that the less we use these phrases, terms, words, and start using actual real world words, those are our first words now. And the more we can do it, strengthen it, it's awesome. But then it's just wild when you come back into this world and you're actually kind of like, what happens is you're triggering those old neurotransmitters and they're coming back to life. They're firing again. They're tying it to these new thoughts. And sometimes it needs to be done. And sometimes you need to consolidate it. But it's like kind of uncomfortable. And I'm like, wait, why am I like, when I talk to some other second gens, I'm so used to work where I'm on a team of professionals who are there with the mindset of client-centered care. And everything we do is like so empowering. And it's kind of wild to think like a Scientologist again, to translate this stuff. Like, it kind of makes, it's just like, my therapist is always like, because we've definitely discussed this, and she's like, I work with a lot of, people with heavy traumas, war traumas, and all of this, and like, I don't usually feel so mentally exhausted. Not to offend, but I want you to understand the mental load that you're carrying all the time. You're doing these gymnastics and walking around translating these things, and it's not like just super typical. So I want you to know, just for a self-care kind of thing, like, and it really made a difference to me. And I was like, you're absolutely right. And that is like just something to bear in mind for all of us. It's like a lot to kind of go into the new world and then decide, hey, I've learned enough. I can come back and make it kind of make sense with new phrases, because our old phrases don't make freaking sense.
I wonder as well. Yeah, and that's definitely on topic for the peer support mental health check-in for sure. I'm wondering too, because it can be linked to, we're talking about things that are also linked to our own trauma. And so if this is a very can be challenging road to I guess be on, because in order to inform people and let them know what's happened in the crimes that have taken place, you have to dip into that trauma pool, because you have to provide I like to provide. I don't want to just go up there and be like, it's bad, everyone,
No,
because
you
people
want to
aren't
have an
stupid.
informed opinion of a topic that's involving you. I don't think I'm ever, like, I could say, like, it's literally like, what's this phrase? I can't quit you. It's in our blood. I don't know what to say. Like, I could be like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go live in a cave. And I'm still going to be watching YouTube. Like, it has been ongoing for a long time. It's not something that's going to stop, and it's not something that needs to stop. It's something that we're passionate about, because we left a lot of people in there, and that's why.
And we're
so
still,
it's okay.
Right. Yeah, we're still dealing with a lot of it. Vanessa, you have your parents still in Scientology?
Yeah.
Yes. And that's very difficult. I am still dealing with my brother who is still in the Sea Org.
Where?
And being declared a depressive person. He's at PAC. Yeah. So, and he was born and raised in Scientology. He was born and raised in the Sea Org, in fact, and all those sorts of things. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's challenging, this tightrope, because it's so important to us. But in order to do that, in order to educate and inform properly, you can't just speak in broad generalities. It's important to talk from lived experience, because the people that are listening to us, they're very intelligent, and it's important for them to have information that they can then do something with. So yes, dipping into that trauma pool, and also even the current things that we're still living through. We're still living through disconnection. We're still living through that pain. We're still trying to figure out how can we get our loved ones back, or even, in fact, some of us are dealing with active police cases as well. And so it is unfortunately
more of us every day, I tell you.
Yeah,
true. Mirriam, you just had this realization recently, and it was that, I forget exactly what you said, and I don't want to misquote you, but basically that I'm actually still in this war with Scientology because they have my family hostage, right? And also I'm trying to report this stuff that happened to me. So why do I feel like I can't move on from this thing, or I'm not settled with it? Because you're actually still in a battle. And same thing with Vanessa. Yeah. They have her family. I'm so fortunate my family got out. My family's not in good shape, and so I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with the repercussions of Scientology and trying to care for the fallout of their 20 years in Scientology, 3 of them very unwell.
Of living in a dream.
Well, and you guys are saying something, and I don't want to interrupt, but who in the world could say something as ridiculous as, if I didn't write it, it's not true? Like, what the actual
I think that you hit the nail on the head. Who in the world has the gall to say that?
Because that's what it was. If it's not written, it's not true. But who writes?
Yeah, but we wouldn't think. Like, I think that's why we're all really like, nobody would do that.
Who would do that?
Like, who would do that? A sociopath would do that, and would do it in order to manipulate and control masses for their benefit. And when I started to look at it as, how does this benefit this man, instead of how did this actually benefit us or our lives or my parents' lives, it started to it was hard at first. It was actually challenging. And then it got easier and easier and easier. And now it's almost a double entendre. I see how it benefited him, but how my parents thought it benefited them, but what the actual real world application could have or is now, or the things that Ron took that are no longer in practice. And then I can explain it even further, because it is usually from 1962 and it's 2023, and at work I'm required to study research. So it's like absolutely absurd that we're still sitting here having to beg people to fucking talk about this, because I'm like, hello?
And and who I just think, who in the world besides children that had no other information could fall for this crap? But I understand that they trick them into it by boiling them like frogs very slowly, and getting them to agree to one thing at a time that built and built and built until they'd given up.
Frogs, good analogy.
Well, then they'd given up their, ability to think for themselves, and everything had to go through the "what would L. Ron Hubbard do" filter. What did L. Ron Hubbard say?
This is actually good. I want you to answer this. Do you know Scientology? Do Scientologists know? Because this is a layered answer. So whoever wants to take it, because I could destroy it. I want to hear your opinions. It's very layered. Do Scientologists know L. Ron Hubbard was a science fiction writer?
They believe he's a brilliant science fiction writer. A brilliant science fiction writer. And there's no shame in that.
And?
Right? I don't have an and.
Well, he's prolific.
They're kind of wondering, this is a sarcastic question.
Okay, so no, they don't make that extra leap. In fact, I think
I think that's the question. Do they make that leap?
Well, I think
The
they
thing is
believe
that
that
if
he's
you're
writing about his own personal experiences, that
yeah,
these books,
yeah.
he's writing them for you stupid people who don't understand the big
Mhm.
picture, but he sees all, he knows all, he's done
Mission
it
Earth.
all. Exactly.
Mhm.
This is his real, and Scientologists buy this. And we bought this as kids. I remember being so excited about these
Yeah.
things. I'm so
Battlefield
sad.
Earth.
So what I would like for people to understand is, you know how we say like the Xenu story, a lot of us didn't know, no one knows that at the bottom end and whatever, until you get to those OT levels. So when someone says, oh, Xenu, like we don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
However, the alien, the robot bodies, the strange sci-fi stuff, that is built in from the beginning, especially as a child, because isn't that fascinating? Like we used to read Have You Lived Before This Life? Which was a book, and they have
It's a good
they've
one. It's
stashed that away.
It's a burned book. It's like an off the shelf, out of print.
But that one is wild, and I remember reading that from a very young age. And that
Tell them what that is. Tell them what it is.
Okay, so Have You Lived Before This Life is a compilation of counseling sessions, essentially like Scientology auditing sessions, and it's what the PCs or the pre-clears or the people who are going through the auditing sessions reported to experience. It was session notes, so that was the auditor noting what they were saying, and so it was so Have You Lived Before This Life? So it was all whole track stuff, which meant it's a lot of it's like really just it's real science fiction, like
ghost stories, if you will.
Let me give you some examples. There's
or past lifetime. I mean, it's really just their recollections of past lifetimes in session, right?
Right. So it's
we like to call that false memories. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Right. There was one there's someone in a doll body. They were stuck in a doll body for a while. There was someone that was in a robot body. There was someone who got thrown off of a spaceship for punishment. There's all kinds of wild, I think there was a story in there about a volcano and the whole village that got devastated, and there was one about a man
level, babe. That's the OT level.
No, this is another volcano.
There was one in there.
Yeah, with anyone correct me if I'm wrong. This is my memory. Yeah, there was an actual volcano, not a no. This
I didn't know they let the volcano shit out early. I didn't remember that.
In a more recent time, not however many years ago. That
not
was
a trillion years ago
volcano.
From Planet Farsec. It was a different one.
No. Different one. Just a local volcano on
Was
an
it the
island.
one I was in? I'm like, major, triple, quadruple times.
It's that one. It's the one you were in. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was the one that blasted it. So welcome.
It's all of your kind.
Good job.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, there was one about a man. So there's one about a man who he got angry with his wife. This might be the volcano one. I can't remember. But anyways, I read this when I was very little.
This one might end in a volcano. I can't really remember the ending. We'll see how it goes.
It's all everything leads to volcano. But the man got angry at his wife. I think he slapped her. He spoke rough with her. Then they died. Basically, it's a lot of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of regret and whatever. And maybe that's why, I don't know, but is that why he's beating his wife in this lifetime? Who knows how that, anyways. But this whole thing of these, off this planet, wild stuff. My mother told me her own past life. She's told me a couple of them, but one of them was that she was a pilot. And I think there's another volcano involved in this story. But she was a pilot, and she was a pilot of a spacecraft, is what I'm getting to. And she was she got sent right. She got sent to a planet to go and round up the people. Were like ape people. They were very primitive, but I think she was he at that time, and she rounded them up. And then had to, I think, basically annihilate them. Maybe it was laser beams or whatever. And she felt really bad about that. So she's auditing that out in this lifetime, feeling really bad because, this is her false purpose rundown and whatever, what I'm saying. Anyways, so what I'm saying is that
in the house.
The culture has that background from when you're a kid.
I was going to read this one. It says, my dad told me that all those stories LRH aren't fiction. They are actually galactic battles and events that really happen. Yeah, so that's kind of like they sell it like, oh yeah, it's fiction. Of course, we know he was a prolific science fiction writer, but he was just writing about his battles and journeys in space, you guys. He's like the dude.
And this is how he was imparting his information. So I didn't really understand it like as in it wasn't like direct events that he was writing about it like in that way, but more like he was imparting knowledge to all the stupid people of the world, like Christi said. So you said it
giving
so well.
little bits that
That's you
you
guys,
could.
the non-Scientologists supporting us.
Exactly.
Sorry, you guys. My friends don't know how to speak to the crowd yet. They're new to YouTube, but that's like you guys. No, I'm just kidding. I'm razzing you. It was how we felt at the time. It's not how we feel now, but it was literally wild. Yeah, Poe brought up a really good point. Wait, Battlefield Earth was fiction? Yeah, that's literally what our parents would say. That's why it's hilarious. Do you guys remember how disappointing it was to see that in the theaters and be like, this was supposed to be so fucking good?
That was kooky.
I didn't see it in the shit. Did I? Oh, maybe I did. Oh, we all went to see it, didn't we? We all got sent to see it.
Yeah, I know you.
Yes.
Guys did,
okay, coming back to me now.
Like
yes.
18 times.
I feel like people were made to watch it over and over and over again.
Yeah. And we were like, yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to say, no, it didn't ring in the cognitive dissonance of like, oh, that's a strange. We were like, oh, it all makes sense.
That's what I was. I was like, oh, it all makes sense. Look, of course, the story makes sense. He's got crimes. He's being critical. He's got overs and withholds. He's destroying planets. He's a suppressive. There's money and psychiatry involved. Like, it all made sense to me.
How much did you guys end up at the Life exhibit? Because I would say that actually made a huge difference. Like, being there so often, seeing that wall of like fake medals and things open up, and like having him as like a dun, 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 and it was like really godlike, right? This museums, and then you see all these things, and you're like, well, I saw the proof with my own eyes.
So the L. Ron Hubbard. Hundreds of times. The L. Ron Hubbard. Christi, did you ever go through there?
Poor thing. Yeah, I went through there when I was like,
without even trying, hundreds of times. Like,
I was like 35 when I went through there, and I took my fiance at the time. We were happy to be visiting Hollywood, so it was not my childhood. We went back. I had been out for 15 years or something. I was like,
your poor partner, I swear.
Look at this crazy. It was just like, oh my God. And I was trying not to let anyone, like, I thought their camera was watching me. They're going to recognize me and they're going to know I'm a ex-Scientologist. But it was very creepy and weird. It was so just theatrical and staged. And he was like, I just wanted to just watch him, more than I wanted to experience it myself. I just wanted to watch him. Someone that had never been indoctrinated. Yeah. He was like, that is
fascinating, isn't it? To watch people's reaction to what we went through. That's why this YouTube is so powerful. It's really fascinating.
This YouTube. Mirriam had to go to that as a child. These were field trips.
Me too.
School field trips.
Yeah. So
it was like exciting.
It was, but it was awesome.
And CCHR,
Christi, I'm going to take that on board because I want to do that. That sounds like a really good time just to take someone through that doesn't know anything, and I'm just gonna like watch their expressions and watch it unfold. So yeah, I went through it, going through it so many times as a child, but also the added. And it just created like this enthrallment because I think what you were kind of touching on, Vanessa, is like how visually impactful it was. And so there's these blown up life-size recreations of like Johnny Goodboy Tyler and Turl, is it? Whatever, and spaceship stuff and Turl.
I forgot that word.
Because let me just make a recommendation. Battlefield Earth, really shit movie. But if you watch it when you're stoned, it's a fucking good time.
I've never done that.
I recommend it. I recommend it.
That's good.
It's a good time.
Doesn't it make you mad?
Oh, you're just laughing the whole time. It's hilarious. Okay. That's my recommendation. Please give me feedback.
Okay, I will. I might go to a dark place and have to call you. We'll see. Like you could be like, look, it's hilarious. I'll be like, you're right. Look at those extensions. Look at the extensions.
John Travolta.
I
can't forget those extensions.
Oh my God. And the long fingers, and he's like, drinking his like neon drinks and whatever. No, but it's hilarious. It becomes a comedy. It's so good. So please let me know if anyone does it and let me know what you think. But where are we going? Oh, life exhibition. So I want to go life exhibition. So yeah, so what we were saying, like, okay, so you have these like blown up life-size versions of there's reenactments. They press a button and suddenly the whole scene starts playing out. And as a kid, you're like, oh wow, there's like moving parts and if you go down into the Dianetics room, did you get to that part of the tour, Vanessa, where there's like there's a volcano?
Obviously.
You remember the volcano?
Have you seen
Obviously
my channel, my other channel, The Degraded Daughters of Dianetics?
Yes.
We're very into volcanoes. I have some stickers around here of but yeah, that had a huge impact on me. Like that whole visual.
Do you remember the smoke would like billow off the top and it would just flow down?
That was the closest we had to a science experiment.
It was like the closest I'd had to
on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, it did. It was just like, oh, this is
real.
Amazing.
This is real.
Yeah,
Scientology music.
This is real.
He's really a hero. He's really a god.
Yeah, I mean, what were some of those things just fake? I mean, I'm still confused because when I read the books and things, it's like, yeah, that was fake as hell. And you're like, it didn't look, I mean, it looked like, what, did they go to garage sales?
So they also had like artifacts. So just so everyone understands, they had artifacts like they had in glass, in glass cases on display. So it was like, oh, his war medals and everything. So you would just, it's all there. Everything was there. Like, and that was the whole purpose of it, right?
They had like there's 25 books called Ron that were like about the different
Ron
careers.
Series.
Yes. Like, Ron the cowboy, Ron the film director. And
it was like
really
Ron,
did this.
Ron the humanitarian was one of them. And I remember that because I was like sounding it out and I'm like, that's a big word that I don't know because I was just a little kid. And then I was like, it's like human, like, yeah, that makes sense. He's like all about the humans. Anyways, Ron the humanitarian, like Ron the artist, Ron the whatever. But in the life exhibition are the series of oil paintings that my mother did. So for me, going through the life exhibition had a special thing because I never saw my mom. She was never around. So for me, it was like this connection to my mother. And I was so proud of her and I was so in awe of her. And I was just like, I'd just be like, the whole time I'd just be like waiting to go to see her paintings and just so I could hear her name mentioned, which her name wasn't mentioned, but I'd be like, oh, my mother did that. And then they might, if they knew her, they might say, oh yes, Carrie. And I'd be like, Carrie, like my mother, and just have that connection to her.
So on the plaque of her oil paintings, her name is not on there or even signed on the painting itself. She doesn't get credit.
I don't believe so. Not to my recall. But if anyone has any information on that, I don't think so at all. And I'm even wondering if there's a signature and I can't recall, but it was just this one woman, Julie was the older one who did the tours and she knew my mother or knew her by name or knew who had done it. But then the younger woman who did the tour, and also, by the way, they're both like, just like perfectly manicured, like no hair out of place, just like silky clothing. Everything's flowy, glossy, and like as a little kid that's like, just like has scuffed up shoes and like, like, anyway, it's just like, was like a whole experience of like this, how fancy it was. And so I just liked to hear someone talk about my mother. That was a really nice connection for me. So like that opportunity to see her work and to be, so it wasn't like they were like, oh, Carrie did it was like, these are the paintings of L. Ron Hubbard, and then I'd be like, that was my mom. Like
I love that you had that personal connection to it. That's really beautiful. I think it's so rude she didn't get to have her name on them. That just makes me mad all by itself for no good reason.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't like an acknowledged thing. Yeah.
That would be self-importance or something. Yes, we can hear you.
I got all frozen, but I came back. Okay, I have to squeeze this out because we're almost at our hour. And guess what the hell I did today? It was wild.
Yeah, what do you tell?
This channel came, I guess, I had never heard of it before, but it's a woman who was, I believe, a former Disney star. And
Eat predators?
Yeah.
Eat predator.
Yeah, it was that
Is
one.
Alexa? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I knew that our friend Lara was going to be down there, and I was like, I'm going to try to wrap up my work and at least stop by and like see what's up, make sure she's safe because it's right on my way if I just take one turn. And I was like, I'm going to make sure she's doing good because I knew she was going to be down there.
Yeah.
And you guys know how it is at, on the street. It's not like fair for
On
us
the
to
street.
say.
I love this.
Yeah.
You know how it is on the street.
On the block, like I was
On
there
L. Ron
the
Hubbard
day-
Way.
Yeah, on the
That's
way.
hilarious. Oh my
on the
God.
I was about to say on the
way.
way.
Dude,
Yeah,
on the way.
Can
Like
you imagine?
I was there the day the way opened as the way. They
Mhm.
renamed
Yeah.
it, and the bricks had been laid, and I had been watching it, and they had the beautiful bronze statue outside of the lion, and like all the imagery of Sheriff Baca, the esteemed. Just kidding. He's in prison, federal, I believe.
Oh.
He was there saying like, wow, congratulations, you guys are real. And I was like, yeah, we are, like on the street with our popcorn. So when it was named that, it was a big deal for me. And then it really made an impression that everybody stayed off of it. Like everybody really just didn't bother. They were like, yeah, no, it's weird. And then the people today confirmed that. They were like, no, it's almost like if you were in an Amish town, like you wouldn't just drive down the block. You're aware that you're being watched or whatever.
Is it because of the bricks? Is it the bricks? I'm joking.
It's more than the bricks.
I know. The bricks that the
It's
kids.
the eyeballs. It's the
Yeah, so
actual
I
security guards on every
Yeah.
corner.
Well, the bike riding security guard.
Guess who they care about more than anybody?
Well, keeping the people inside. Is that what you mean?
Like normal people can drive by. Normal people can walk
Right,
by.
yeah, of
They might be able to use the
SPs,
sidewalk.
they care about
Yeah,
this.
Who do they
SPs,
care
yeah.
about? Me and Lara today were pretty much the ones who are like the vitriol, right? Like, isn't that interesting that just by us knowing, right, how it goes, having that info, having that insight, I think that's why we're like targets of any
Yeah, you've seen
harassment or fair
through the
game or just
narcissist
keeping an
game.
eye on. Yeah. And so it was very fascinating to watch Odo not break his eye like a dagger. Like I kind of forgot. Like I was comfortable because we grew up there. So once I walked up, I was terrified. I definitely didn't walk down the block. I didn't want to. Like honestly, it's just too upsetting for me. I've spent time in those tunnels like a lot. Like why do I feel like I want to go put myself in danger? I'm having a hard day. My friend's murder trial came to an end today with a very, very positive outcome, actually. And I'm so happy and I'm going to be celebrating it. But it's like, man, bringing up so many emotions from just having to deal with a friend being brutally murdered by somebody who was her stalker. And that man's going to be in prison, thankfully, because he belongs there. He's really nasty and just stalked her and really was like, if nobody can have you, or if I can't have you, nobody will kind of vibe. And she had only dated him for a short time and then ended up being the object of his obsession. And for years, he made her life really hard and she dealt with it so well. And she got multiple degrees in mental health when I knew her, and we were out hustling and working in Hollywood. And she was somebody I met on the outside who was actually getting an education. I never met a psych before. And I was like, oh my God, you're a psych major. And I thought it was like wild, even though I was a bartender. This is why
very
some things
dangerous.
can be true at the same time. And you're like, wait, you didn't actually have any experience with anybody who was a psych, quote unquote, whatever. Now we know that's not even like a thing. But to us, if somebody had taken a psychiatric medication, like if I knew my friend was on antidepressants, I kind of just had a very different view of them. And I knew that they couldn't really be trusted almost. And that's so terribly wrong now. I know that. And it's actually so responsible. I'm actually weirdly the one tries to convince people to take care of their mental health and take their medication and stay stable, because I see them before and after in my job, and it's the most caring thing you can do is take your medication, but nobody's pushing it. You have the right to refuse at any time. So the only thing we're going to do is say, please take care of yourself and remember how happy you were, but it's your choice. You know, we had to actually have a member exit, and the police come after they weren't, they just didn't want to take their medication. That's okay. That's allowed, right? But when you see someone's state of mind decompose over time, and you're like, wait, I think they did really, really have a successful run with that. You know, that's not a lie. It's like they really were like going to job interviews and feeling great and telling me they felt great or whatever, you know, and then it just, one day they were like, I feel either people feel good, so they stop taking it, or they just feel controlled, or they just like sometimes believe a lot of things that aren't real, like we did. And so it's kind of ironic that in the end of the day, it is the person's choice. They always end up, you know, whatever they want to do. If they want to, if they feel like they're missing something and they've been diagnosed with something, then hopefully they take care of their health and they can have healthy relationships around them and that kind of stuff. But man, we came from the opposite way. So today walking by is just like, you're going into this other world, you know, and I'm pretty sure I can't tell. He looks different, but the same. The first thing I did when I drove by was I saw Laura out there going buck wild. Like,
She had her son. She was in traffic. She was in the road. She was yelling.
She was incredible.
Cheering,
like
whistling.
She was highest creative maybe I've ever seen her. Like, had me singing. It was almost very extremely liberating, and I wasn't really expecting that.
It was so powerful.
Where can we is does she have footage on her channel?
Yeah,
so I would love
it's
to
on
watch it. I
Laura's
need to catch up on
channel. It's
everything.
on Laura's
Okay.
channel. It's right here.
So Laura FM. Yeah. Hey, Laura. So
I
jump
did
on there,
too,
have
but
a look.
it didn't save. So the 30 people or whoever were watching, like, that was it on my channel. You guys got the inside scoop.
I was taking screenshots through your whole thing because I just love so many. Yeah, and then Alexa Nicholas was also streaming, and she had a lot of footage of because her cameraman was filming her and whoever she was talking to. So that was good.
I forgot I had an interview with him too. That'll be really fun to go and look, because it was really cool to have people there supporting who just aren't second gens. And then at one point they all, like, you know, it was kind of wrapping up and I had gone, so here's how it went. I drove by and I saw them out there and I was like, wow, you guys are like balls to the walls on a fucking Thursday afternoon in front of like pack. Like, I go to Square One and eat, and I just kind of like don't want to cause trouble. I don't know. I'm like, why cause more trouble for myself? I live nearby. Like, this is not fun for me. I can't just leave town, right? Like, they're just bothering me more if I'm bothering them. So I was kind of more like, I don't know if I'll get out. Oh, lovely mug. Lovely.
It's backwards. I need to turn my camera around.
So cute.
You talk, I'm gonna try and turn
but yeah, so I was driving by and I saw this face that looked familiar, like eyeballs that looked familiar. And I rolled down the window, sitting on a security bike, and I do know that one of my like my first serious relationship, he's done that job for a long time. I don't know if he's still there or not, but I've always wondered if he's okay. And sometimes I see the security guards, I'm like, that's not him, that's never him. But then today I was like, is that him? And I caught this guy's eye, and I hadn't seen him before. I saw Odo. Oh my God, Laura terrified me. I hope you saw that, Christy. She goes, hey, look, was that not like terrifying? I literally.
I saw you headed down the street. She was down there.
She goes, no, do you know what he did? She goes, hey, look, it's Odo. And I look up, and he's like actual serial killer style, staring there in his microphone, giving my license plate. And I was like, oh my God. And I got like a crazy panic attack. And I did actually film it on video. I didn't film it on, but I was like, oh my God. And I zoomed in. So you guys are going to laugh when you see it, because it was actually kind of like, it just trips you out that anybody cares. Honestly, it trips you out. You're like, I know that you do this, and this is what I've seen my whole life, but like, I'm not, You kind of know that, right? Like, come on, you guys, look at us.
No,
And
totally. But
then-
that old fear can kick in. It's so interesting. And then you got the CPTSD going on, and but it's like, woo, you're just
Anxiety.
sweating, and it's so. It was
How-
so. It's
how did
really
you-
brave.
How did you feel in your body, Vanessa, when you were there?
Oh, so here's what happened. I went by and I had a lot of anxiety, and I thought, this is not a good day for this. I am going through, I worked all morning. I'm exhausted, didn't sleep well. A friend of mine is having a major surgery, and just like thinking about that, I had the trial that we were thinking about. I was actually going to go down to the courthouse in case a verdict was announced. And I decided I'm going to do better for not getting sick and not wearing myself down. I'm going to go home and just like take a nap. And then I started thinking, fuck it. And I went to Starbucks and I got Lara an iced tea. I was like, it's hot out there. They've been out there since noon, and it was like 1:30. And I was like, I can just walk up and at least give her a drink. Like, I can face my fear in that way, and it's okay. Like, for me, that's not doing too much. That's like just enough, right? And I was like, they can just, it would actually be nicer for them to see me, because I think I know who that is right now, and I know that I've been a big part of this person's life, and they know me well. And it would be nicer for them to see me instead of as a heckler, as someone who came and dropped off a drink for a loved one to make sure they stayed cool, right? And I don't know how to do it other than just being a normal person in front of them and not like coming across as like a piece of shit, because I remember looking at the protesters and being terrified, to be honest, and I don't want to ever make anybody feel like that so that they don't come out, right? So for me, I was just like, I'm not going to bother them. And then so I decided to come back and bring her a thing. I was kind of trying to stay on my side of the street. Like, we were down by, like, you guys remember the cafe, like the little cafe where everybody had mailboxes, and it was like Needs and Wants magazines, and it always smelled like CalMag and vitamins in there. Remember that one?
I don't remember the mailboxes, but the near the parking structure side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
down from
that's
there,
where we were, exactly. So I was trying to stay closer away from the org, like on that side. And Lara's just like ridiculous out here.
She's not having it.
Dancing and singing, and
in
she's like
traffic.
at one point screaming like, "You stole our parents!" And I was like, I can't not be motivated to like.
It's also
protest
true.
right now.
I
I
know.
know it's
Her
wild,
parents are
because I had
inside
to
there.
like. It's true. Like, I had to be like, this is true, and it's also really cool. So it was funny. She like people force me to do things as a protector. I swear to you, because I would not have gone to gold base. That's like not on my list of things to do. Thank you, Liz Ferris. She knows that, and she knows that I had to take time to think about that and decide, like, I'm a peer support specialist, and what more better trained could I be for this position than going with somebody to try to see if their father's alive after 19 years, and they seem really cool. And I'm not going to say no to that. There's really, like, my integrity is actually intact, and like, I'm not going to make choices, but I might have to face some fears, and I did, and it like turned out to be wild.
Totally.
But it's
And
cool.
to
We
do
had
that-
to face it, right?
To do that, I'm going to put my face on a giant bullseye.
Dude,
There you go.
that's chill. It's totally chill. So, and then what she did today, I was laughing so hard because she kept inching closer to the guy who I didn't want to bother. Like, he knew I was there and he was watching me, but I didn't want to bother him. And the guy on the stream was like, "What's his name?" And I was like, "I'm not going to blow up his spot. Like, it's not, I just don't want to. Like, he's down there, and I'm going to tell you about my experience, that's like a person who was in my life, but like, I don't want to mention him, and I don't think that he's, he actually signed up when he was of age to give consent. So for me, that's like somebody I want to kind of protect and always be there for in case they want to come out and not come across as attacking or whatever. But that's very hard to do when you're in a group of protesters screaming with like really cool signs about like
For sure. And that's what they were there to do today, is to draw attention to it and draw attention to a really good cause and some really important issues, which is fantastic.
Exactly. You can't be mad at that.
Just while we're talking, oh no, you can't be mad at that. And also, it sounds like it was really fun. Our time zones are totally different, but I can't wait to just catch up on everything.
Aww.
And then just on Odo, I just want to touch on that.
Yeah,
Like he was
please.
born and raised, so he was born and raised in the Sea Org and in the Cadet Org. And I know it's fun to give the security guards shit sometimes, but please, if you can just come at it with some understanding. He was born and raised in his, that's all I want to say, because I don't want to
I'll tell you what happened next when we talked to the security guard. That's where I was.
Well, can I just say,
Of course,
I just want to say as well, so along with that, so say yes, you're someone who was born and raised and that's all they've ever known. But also just in terms of generally the security guards, it's a lot of young guys. And the reason for that is because in order to be qualified, there's very high requirements for the qualification, which means that you just have to have like little to no sexual history, basically, and all that sort of thing. So it tends to be like the recruits for that are young guys. So you are going to find that even if they've been in there for a long time and they're no longer, just kids type of thing, just bear in mind that a lot of them came into it very young, and just have some sensitivities around that. That's all I would ask. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But have fun, go there, chat to them, engage with them, but just, do it as you would do it. Like, do it like you would do it to any other person that you would have a conversation with, I would say. Yeah.
Well, they're a mental hostage, that's for sure, and a hostage that's been there since they were kids and they don't know anything else. And that's, even though they're a security guard and they're enforcing something and they're following you, they're also, they're a child in an adult's body. That's what I want to say.
Right.
I talk about opposites, Phil.
Human trafficking, you train your own enforcers, don't you? So it's just is a system, and he's just part of that system. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, and Vanessa, you were going to say something after that.
Yeah, so what ended up happening is I ended up staying a little bit and being a bit more comfortable because Laura was just killing it with her creativity on like her slogans and like had the music on, and it was kind of more pleasurable. And I kind of realized my error of I literally have been so busy lately. I just haven't really been taking care of myself super well. And I wasn't planning on coming today because I didn't want to be on camera. And so I decided I was just going to drop it off and go back. I was like, nah, whatever. I'm not wearing makeup, but it is what it is. Like, it is what it is. We're at the org. Why do I care, right? But I'm just can be uncomfortable in my skin. But another thing I failed to do was wear a bra. And I may or may not be the singular, may or may not sure if it's this person, not 100% sure, did not do a DNA test. It's been about 20 years. May or may not be the person who took this specific security guard's special thing that they would have a list on me already as a qualification as a sexual anything, right? So this was a very interesting opportunity that she forced me in front of this man. And
oh my gosh,
I felt a special privilege because we talk about peer support. I actually know how to friggin' talk to people, right? And know how to not push their buttons. So I don't appreciate when anybody pushes a victim's buttons, because it can be like Stockholm syndrome and they could just run back to their, abuser. And I remember being there and seeing the Lisa McPherson protesters, and it was scary as hell. I knew to stay away. So for me, it was kind of funny when the rest of the crew was kind of wrapping up and they did one more lap around the building, but they all kind of went, and it was like, I noticed that it was just Laura talking to the one security guard I was trying to not talk to directly in front of AO.
Oh my gosh.
Directly in front of AO. And it was like, she not only made me cross the street, like I had to cross the crosswalk, and then I had to stand and talk to this person for quite a while. And honestly, it was not a bad conversation whatsoever. It was just us being like, look, we're out here. And it was kind of creepy because it was filming. He had a film thing and he just couldn't respond to us. And so, you know how it is, keeping your TRs in. And then I was just cracking jokes was like, look,
Well,
we're just bull baiting him. Like, but it was not jokes that were mean. It was like we were joking. I was joking with each other. I was like,
yeah.
he's just keeping an eye on the biggest SPs on the block. What is he supposed to do? Talk to us? Like, what do you want him to go to the hole? Like, literally trying to be funny so that he could at least like crack a smile or something. And like, I was just like, hey, we're local. So if you see us walk by, like wave. And that's what I did to break him the first time. I walked up and I said, hey, cutie. And I literally, this is my oldest bull baiting trick. I'm so sorry. But I just couldn't help it.
Just
I wanted
came
him
out.
to know we were friendly. I
Aw,
don't know how else to do it, but I didn't want him to be afraid of us. And
what an interesting
I think
opportunity.
that's sweet.
Oh,
Yeah, and I think playful is the way to go, because like kind of like have fun with it and enjoy it. I would love the opportunity to go back and just I'll keep an eye out for my brother Ben. And whenever I look at footage of the pack base, whether it's protesters or anyone going up and down there, I'm always looking for him.
what's his post, Mirriam? What does he do?
I don't know if I want to say too much information. Yeah.
It's not a security guard.
No, he's not a security guard. No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
And his position is you
because
probably
there were a
won't see
lot
him
on
out
us
the
today.
street.
We got great footage. If he was, there were plenty around following two young women.
Vanessa, I was thinking as well. You might be in his life history.
No, I know.
Right?
That's what she was saying
Yeah.
earlier.
Oh,
She's
that's what you were-
definitely
yeah.
in his
I'm
records.
like the worst as I
You're in
don't know
his
why. I
records.
just keep stacking it up. I'm like mental health, sure.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
on your V card, sure.
They're like, this name, Vanessa, her name keeps popping up here.
It's
You're
wild,
almost like-
and she keeps popping up on like everyone's channels. It's like she knows
Very
a lot
suppressive.
of people, and she's scary or something. Guess what I do?
Wish you are, because you're a psychologist. Like,
No,
so
but I
you've got,
love that
like,
you
you're-
engage
Thank
with
you.
them playfully, because the thing is, we were all prepared, set up, and expecting suppressives to be suppressive. And so then when we go and be suppressive, they go, "Oh, see, you're doing exactly the thing that
It
they
becomes
told
a
us that you would
confirmation
do."
of our
Yeah, so you totally
suppressiveness.
confirm it. And so when you don't do that, it's really brilliant.
That's
It's
why I was like, I'm
original.
gonna just bring an iced tea. I'm gonna show care, and like if this is because you know why I thought it was the person who I thought it was, and that was actually more important to me, which is wild. I thought it was the person who I thought it was, and I thought I need them to be like okay and see that I'm not like when they hear this, they need to know I'm not like a freaking lunatic who's exploded out here in the real world. I'm like a normal woman who just walked up to give my friend a iced tea, and I'm pretty sure you know this is me because you saw me when I drove by and you went like you just saw a ghost. So I don't know, maybe not. Maybe they just have a photo of us in the security office. Like these
Also
women live
that-
nearby in case they just start to walk by with a selfie stick.
No, but now they have
You
your
and Laura,
license.
yeah.
Now they have your license plate. Yeah.
Terrifying.
They'll do plate recognition now.
They did. That was actually why it scared me about Odo, because not that I don't know that he's not like actually a victim himself, but it scared me because I noticed he was writing, like he was like telling somebody directly, like while he was staring at me, and my license plate was right there. Not that they don't have it; they already know. That's why I went. They already know. I'm not hiding, but
They're trying to
just
make it obvious to you.
Yeah, it created the vibe of being scary, and I know that that's what they're trained to do, and so that's why it tripped me up, because I almost wasn't expecting it. I was like, whoever they are, like they're not intimidating. We grew up on that block. We've seen them ride by, like black shirt and cool, but then when it's you and then they're like, it's Odo, like he's actually not unattractive, to be honest. He kind of looks good today. I was like,
he's always I grew up with him, like he was always attractive.
I didn't know that. I was like thinking
like we were in the cadet org. We were in the cadet org and grew up together at the ranch and stuff like that. And he was one of the older boys, really well liked, and he always did kind of have a bit of a leadership position, like a bit of an enforcer position. at times. So yeah.
Did he
Men
just have
have it
one
hard.
sister? One sister?
I don't really want to give. Yeah, I would
I'm
rather
not going to say her name. They were
yeah.
saying her name on the street today on video because they were calling him out and calling her out, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I know it's
Yeah,
known because
it's
she's
just
talked about
such
it.
it's such a, you know, like, it's really interesting. All of us feel so differently because we have different personal relationships with certain people who we're super protective of, who, like,
Mhm.
it's really, I would never want, but then I expect, like, if I was in there, I would not expect anybody who didn't know me to withhold my name or know me super well. So sometimes I would be like, why aren't people talking? But then I wouldn't want, you know, somebody too close to me breaking my confidentiality or
Well, I think it's important, like, yeah, when you're there, just to say, like, when you're engaging with them, like, yeah, say whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Try and connect those dots for them, and in whichever way. I don't know how that's possible,
Yeah,
but anyways,
I mean, it's every case is different. I think it's just like on the fly stuff. Like, this is cult busting.
But I also want to leave that opportunity open for his family to either maintain their privacy or to talk about things as they want to. So and I feel like that's their right. That's not my story to tell. But just I just want to impart that, like, I grew up with him, and that he just like any of us, any of the kids that are still in there are going to be affected the same way. He was groomed for a specific position, and that's the role that he's trained to do. And there's still tons of those kids in there. They've just been groomed for other positions. That's all it is. Yeah.
Well, it's what they know. And I think
I said,
Clarissa
Laura is
Clarissa
yeah.
she's
Say
spoken
names,
out through Underground Bunker a number of times, and so I feel
Right.
like she's
She
already put
has.
her name and his name out there.
And that's actually my point. Every single one of us has a different way, and we're groomed the same, but we have different responses to how we're groomed because we're different people. So some of us make choices to leave, some of us don't, and some of us have different mental programming than others because of the posts we were on, the amount of auditing we got, and the circumstances, and who our parents were, and if we're going to really lose our mind or not if we walk out the door. And so we just don't know. But it is different if you know the people, or if you want to say that, like, go for it. Like, we're not here to, for me, I'm not here to control anybody's speech anymore. I'm just here to, like, you know, like, whatever I'm going to do, I'm just going to do it. And then whatever my friends are going to do, they're going to do it. And, like, we're so over that, don't you think?
Right. So what's really important is that we're not in a cult. But what is very important for me, regardless of what other people do, is that I need to do it how it's right for me. So I will speak about the things that I feel like I need to speak about because they're important to me.
Yeah.
Do I feel like it's important to divulge people's personal information? No, that's not important to me. So I'm going to maintain my story and what's important, and what I want to talk about crimes. I want to talk about crimes against children. I want to talk about disconnection. I want to talk about the devastation that creates. And I do that through my own story. And then I allow space for other people to tell their story, because how is it for me to tell other people's story? Then they don't get their opportunity, or they might feel disheartened, or they might feel, you know, that adds another challenge for them. So no, I don't want to take away anyone's privacy. It's not my right to do. And I'm going to maintain the way that I want to talk about it.
Yeah, as you should.
Yeah.
This is such a good point. She said, I was telling him he is so good looking and that so many people would love to marry him. That happened when he leaves, and that his family would love to see him and have him in their lives. So it was good. And that did happen.
Beautiful.
It was really, like, you know, I think they were more just like, that's my point, is so when L. Ron Hubbard does things like says, if I didn't write it, it's not true. I think Laura has the gall to do the crazy things that it takes to actually make them wake up sometimes. And it's kind
It's
of
the
beautiful.
opposite
They
because
make
it's so
monsters of their own.
human. It's so human. She's
Yeah.
just oozing humanity,
Yeah,
like
they're just like
oozing humanity.
making us to defeat them because they have shown us how horrible it can be. And then we're like, we can't leave our friends in there. Like, I see you're still kind of alive. It looks like in your eyes. Maybe you haven't done the OT levels yet. Do you want to come with me, little kid? And they're like, no, you're an SP now. And you're like, I'm not, though. But okay.
Well, and two, I think that a lot of us, the reason that we're still here is because of what already happened to kids that don't have a voice and can't talk about what happened to them.
Yeah.
Vanessa, you talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
And the kids that are still trapped in there, Mirriam, your brother, it's not like we're trying to make a choice for them, but we're trying to carve a path to shine a light so that maybe
Yeah.
some light will reach them so that they can make an informed choice at some point, we hope.
Yes.
Just lift
Have
that veil a little bit.
access to the information just
Right.
to make the proper choice. If you don't have information, you don't have any access to outside information, education, or people. You're constantly, your environment is manipulated by a controlled environment that is making money off of you and your labor. So
Right. But it's people like Odo, Ben, all these kids we know that are trapped in there is the reason we're actually kind of doing this.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's the point, actually. So great wraparound. It's really the
Oh, I
truth.
mean,
They
it is
don't
the
even
truth.
get
The
it.
other
That's
thing
the
is-
funny part.
Yeah, the other thing is just to be mindful of what you're reinforcing for them. So if you have to understand that this is a mind control group, that there is already mental structure, that there is already instructions in place that are already pre-wired in their brain, so that when you say a certain thing, they will react in a certain way. And so it's really is, and this is even just like, I'm kind of now segueing away from the kind of protesting thing, but even just in conversation, because there's many of us who just would love to get our loved ones out. And I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. And then there's also difficulty with when you're disconnected from when you're an SP. Well, how do you get that communication in there? And what I want to communicate is that this is a very complex, a very difficult type of situation to navigate through. And no, it's not as simple as someone standing there and saying, hey, have you talked to so-and-so lately? It's not as, I'm trying to say, it's not as simple as that. I wish it was. I really wish it was. But I want people to understand that this is so complex and so difficult. And we're really, really trying to figure these things out as we go.
It is a hostage situation, not only physically, but mentally. They have their brains are held hostage, not just their bodies. And so that's the thing that we're just trying to thread. Vanessa, we can't hear you because you're muted.
Vanessa's muted.
Sorry, I said the prison of the mind.
I mean,
Yes.
it just is. And I know this is a silly thing to say, but it is. They are mentally and physically held hostage. So you have to figure out, how can I talk to them that they can hear me?
Right across from them, and it's how do you talk to them with them hearing you?
Yeah, and I think it is, it probably has some impact to say the loved ones' names. And what I was getting to is that I don't want to divulge that information on a YouTube live, but if people want to talk to people and have a conversation and say, especially with someone that they know, Laura knows Odo. Yeah. So for her to say his sister's names, or, so then fine, that's right for that context, right? Yeah. And shit, like, I would love it if someone who knew me and knew my brother in conversation was like, hey, have you thought about your sister recently? I would love that. And maybe that's a little bit of a, you just never know. I don't think that's going to be the catalyst. He knows he's disconnected from me. That's not the reason he's going to leave the C organization. But maybe there's other things, and you just never know what's going on. So, yeah.
You never know. You never know what it's going to be, and all we can do is try to keep hope, even though it seems really hard sometimes. And, like, honestly, that's all that keeps us going, is maybe there's a little hope. Maybe my parents won't pass away without me seeing them again, which I've just dealt with. But, like, maybe Maybe something will happen. Maybe your brother will hear that your sister was asking about him, or
Yeah.
or Lara was outside, screaming so and so's name, but he got it because there's a KR, and maybe it made it harder. But he saw the KR, and then he was like, "Wait, Lara was outside," and it wouldn't be Lara; it would be her name,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the
Yeah.
difference between all of us, is we know each other and where we came from. And that's why we have an effect when we walk up. And other people do too, but they're
I
just
agree.
trained to block. They're just trained to put the wall up. And I just feel like the more of us that talk up and just share however we feel, whatever it is, there's no right and wrong. Just talk about what you feel like and put your face up if you are ready. And like, it's awesome.
I agree. So another thing that's just really, really important that I want to touch on is they are already told that the outside world is dangerous. They are already told that the outside world is chaotic and evil. Okay. So if you start presenting that to them, that's not what this protest was about today at all. I'm not even trying to relate it to that. But I'm saying
get scared
that
of any protest. I mean, it does seem chaotic, just in my opinion, for them. But yeah.
Well, that's why I love like a playful angle, fun. Like, I mean, go in there with enthusiasm. Go in there
maybe
cheerful.
It's
but
never
anyways,
been tried. I mean, Angry Gay Pope is pretty funny. Like,
yeah,
sometimes he's funny, sometimes he's too aggressive for me. So
too aggressive
I
for
was
me,
like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, you're so aggressive. And then now sometimes I'm like, oh my God, that's kind of like it kind of makes me giggle, because I'm at a point in my recovery where it kind of makes me giggle, but I wasn't 10 years ago. And it's interesting to rewatch it,
Totally. Totally. And then some of it is really funny. There's this one that I watched recently where this woman's standing in front of a bus. You guys got to see that if you ever see that one. She's standing in front of the bus and she's telling the bus to leave. It's on L. Ron Hubbard Way. And she's so angry. And the bus driver's getting angry too, because he's like, move so I can drive forward. Oh my God, it's hilarious. But what I was just trying to say is that like try to, you're only going to feed into what is already programmed there. So anything that's like I think what you were doing, Vanessa, and you were keeping it light and like kind of cute and stuff, and whatever way you want to go about it.
Don't wear a bra. That's the new thing. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But be hippie.
Bras off on our
if
definitely
you're
don't wear a
hippie,
bra.
I'm not saying don't be a hippie. Just like maybe, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Connect personally, either with your boobies or your mouth or whatever you need to talk about. You could do it.
Free the nipples.
Free the boobs.
But free the boobs. I'm all for that. Free the boobs.
She's degraded. She has tattoos and she's yelling out, "Degraded daughters of Dianetics right here!" And I'm walking down the street all like midriff out, tattoos everywhere, no bra.
That's degraded.
Perfect.
It's so degraded that they could not handle that they might have liked it a little bit. Yeah.
Oh,
they have to do OW write-ups tonight. I'm so sorry, men.
Handle their evil purposes.
Everyone's going to have to get a confessional.
We should be able to just walk by. Hey, nobody should be tortured for women walking by. How about that sign?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So try. So I don't know. I don't even know if I'm. Whatever.
Making sense.
I'm just trying to say, there needs to be an idea that there's a safe environment out there. If they don't think that there's a safe environment out there, they're never going to leave because they're already told that that's the case. Mm-hmm. So, and just really quick example was when I was leaving the Sea Org, I was determined. 2 years it took me, and I was like, finally, I was on the decks and it was getting closer, and nothing was really happening, and there was no way out. But I was like, I'm where I need to be in order to get out. Well, anyways, September 11th hit, and I won't go into too much detail, but I got a phone call because that's a story that's whatever. It's too much, but got a phone call and basically was persuaded to stay in the Sea Org, and I'm looking at the outside world like it's complete chaos, devastation, fear. I'm talking days after, and just a few days after, and it was said to me like it'll be safer here. And so I was so that was one of the things that I was like, oh, okay, I'll stay. So I'm just that's just a little, and that's a very extreme example. I
No,
understand,
safety
but
is
like,
the basis of the hierarchy of needs per Maslow. It's a really awesome theory about how we balance our mental load, and at the bottom is like safety needs, because if you can't know that you're safe at night or whatever, then you can't really keep going up to like self-actualization and all these wonderful things, relationships. You can't even feel safe, and that's a basic hierarchy of needs, right? You get to the really
Needs,
cool
yeah.
stuff, but if we can't have our safety anywhere else, which I completely remember having to go down to PAC for Millennium, because it was the safest place to be when Y2K hit, I thought, and my parents thought for sure. We were in that tent.
Yeah.
A lot of people were packed in because we thought, wow,
In
we
a
must
tent?
be.
In a
Yeah,
tent?
they had a tent on the patio.
Yeah.
They were outside. Yeah, right. It was like a
Was for the
gala
overflow? Was
style.
it for like
Yeah,
the?
it was the overflow, and then there was like, yeah, it was the overflow tent. Yeah, exactly. We love to feel like we're VIP, you know, we're like VIP. We
Yeah.
get
Oh my
meals
God,
and
I
things.
love
You had to get an
cooking.
invite to this one, you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, this was like the VIP tent you're talking.
Maybe. I'm just teasing. No, I'm so hearing my headphones about to die. So Mirriam, I want to make sure both you and Christy, do you guys have anything to say before I end this? Because it's been an awesome, honestly, chat. I feel like we could have so many of
Did
these if
you
you guys want to
just
come
say,
back.
is there anything you would like to say before I end the session?
I did not say end this session. I said end this live, but thank you for observing.
Oh my God, that's so perfect, Christy.
Is there
So it
anything
sounded
you'd like
like-
to say before I end this stream?
Anything you'd like to ask or say before I end the session? Thank you very much.
I have a break in. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done. That's all. I said thank you very much. That's all I'd like to
Good,
say.
thank you.
No, I'm good. It's been a really fun chat, and I definitely hope we have more.
Me too.
So much going on. It's wild times right now. Hey, it's just wild times.
So much. I'm
That's
really glad you guys are here with us and doing lives, and it's just really fun to have everybody talking and have these like get-togethers, and just we get to catch up and actual like share it with people and have people understand what's going on. Like it's actually really cool. I want to give a special shout out to our buddy Denver Stevio. Loving all you ladies.
Yay.
Thank you so much. Roxy was here earlier. This is the first time I've been in the live stream chat for the SPTV, for this SPTV channel. I've been subscribing to all the SPTV channels thanks to Goldie. Were the ladies at Lara FM's protest much earlier? Okay, cool. So that was why I started. I wanted to say hi. Thank you for being there.
So I'm in Australia, and Christy, I don't know if you want to say where you are, but we're not in Los Angeles.
We're in county, so Northern California. No, I was there in spirit, and I was watching, and I was cheering, and I was putting little hearts on. I had 3 channels going at the same time. It was very hard on my ears, but I wanted to support everyone.
Thank you. I kept forgetting I was
That's
streaming.
amazing.
I'm putting my phone down. Sorry.
Your phone was pointing at the ground most
Sorry.
of the time, but I could see your shoes, and I could see puppy dog toes.
I was
and
like,
keys.
I'll just put my phone down. I'm not live or anything.
It was good. It was
How
good.
did you feel? Sorry, Vanessa, how did you feel afterwards? Like, so you were saying that when you came into it, you were anxious, and then how did you feel after that?
I felt like it was really interesting because we were alone at the end. Everybody else left and walked around the block, and it was me and Laura with like 6 men who were familiar with us and our reputation, and they were like spray washing the brick road, and
That's what
Laura
I keep
was
doing.
like, yeah, and Laura was like getting up close to it, and I was like, don't let them ruin your goldenrod, dude. Like, don't get wet. We don't have to. It was like closed off. Like, sorry, you can't walk down here. You're spray painting. That's why we didn't walk on the street even. Or we're, spray washing or whatever. It's like,
so they just impromptu.
No, as they always do.
Impromptu.
They get a
street cleaning
permit.
real quick. Impromptu.
Yeah.
Quick
They get a
threat
permit.
with dirt and mud.
They get a permit to block off the sidewalk wherever they know a protest is coming, and they spray wash or they scrub or they paint or they replace bricks. They did it at Flag Land Base. They did it. They do it in Pack, and they shut the whole street down. They get a permit to do it, and it just.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think they have. I don't know if they have permit.
Wow.
Oh, maybe they did if it was planned.
They get permits.
Okay. Well, it felt like they were just trying to spray mud at us, but I guess maybe
and they
had
were.
a permit to do
and they
that,
were.
So,
That's right.
I mean, I don't know. Or like kids that grew up there walking by, it did feel like they were literally trying to spray mud at us. But maybe I'm crazy. You know, I'm the one out here in the free world. And then I think this is like just a really cool comment to end on, which is Goldie saying that bras are the creation of Satan and I refuse to participate. So Goldie, today goes out to you. And every day for being a really good mod. Thank you.
Wild times and bras are evil. That's
well, growing up, we really did. My best friend and I did wear a lot of bras, and then when we became kind of like
multiples,
a lot
of bras.
Thick bras. Like I did not want a nipple coming to the surface. Like I was very thick, broad, like,
very padded.
Yeah, like it wasn't just bra. It was like
because
bras.
You don't want your nipples to do 2D flow anymore.
Sometimes we did double bras. We had a very special bra from Victoria's Secret that we buy doubles of. Sometimes double it up at Delphi. This is a secret Scientology girl trick of love bombing. And no, we were not developed yet. You know, we just wanted to look like women. We were like teenage girls. Like it was not even appropriate, to be honest. But yeah, so then when we became like adults, we still kind of had a little bit of shame because we had done like, you know, the happiness rundown and don't be promiscuous was just drilled the hell into both of us and all the ethics handlings I'm sure you guys have done. But really,
we were all terrified of being raging
a body.
Whores,
and being being a body
or interesting,
or manifesting,
you know,
dramatizing being a body. You could not be worse than that. But so it was actually like freeing for about a year to just not wear a bra. And we did, and it really pushed the buttons of the people around us really bad. And then we kind of were like, I guess, I don't know, maybe I'll just wear a bra again. And I'm kind of like that, but then some days I'm like, fuck it. That was a day to day, and it was like kind of a wild day to do that. Because I was wearing not like this shirt. It was like low. I was like, and I talked to somebody who was like, I think the camera got like a little bit of your boobs. And I was like, are you serious right now? And they were like, no, like it was just a side shot. It was no nipple. And I was like, this is our lives on L. Ron Hubbard Way, trying to save.
I think
L. Ron Hubbard Way is owed some boobs. I think, you know, there's some.
Dude, it's been a while
seriously,
for that
like
street.
seriously. Yeah.
Do you know what? You know what? I love this. Like this is the second generation taking back L. Ron Hubbard Way and doing it in a way that's just like fun and I don't know. Look, if anyone decides to go and have like a bras off march on L. Ron Hubbard Way,
let's go burn.
I would love
like the 60s. Oh my gosh, we're doing it.
I would love to be a part of it.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah,
you have to come here. You have to come in real life, though.
Yes,
Mirriam.
we
You
can't
can't
just
just
we can do a
Zoom
bonfire
over.
and burn our bras and write like all the horrible phrases we don't like on them and then throw them in the bonfire.
Yes. Oh, that's such a good idea.
I think we should. Let's do it. Let's arrange it. And
do you know what? I would love. Do you know what? That is such a good idea. I know that for a lot of girls, and I just haven't had this type of conversation with the boys that had grown up in it, but a lot of the girls that had grown up in it, just being absolutely terrified of anything sexual, and it just being drilled into us. And I was terrified of, I was terrified of going on the RPF, like my whole CR career, and then I ended up on the RPF, because in the end I was like, fuck it. But and it was for that reason.
Girls gotta be a girl and have breasts and not get in trouble.
Yeah, you guys, I lost my virginity at the St. Hill, in the St. Hill Castle. Yep. And I was like, this is an amazing story.
That is an amazing story.
Yeah.
I love that story. Take that, L. Ron Hubbard. Yeah, that's awesome.
But so what I was getting to is that wouldn't it be cool to like write some of the phrases that they like drilled into us about like sex and promiscuity and all this like horrible garbage, and then just throw it into the fire.
take them back.
Yeah, would be
I've
kind of
been
cool.
wanting to organize a Scientology second gen slut walk like Amber Rose style.
Oh, I heard you guys talking about that.
Yeah,
in
but
Alicia.
then
That's
this whole
awesome.
burning of the bras is just really hippies and like
They're
on
both pretty
brand.
awesome.
I'm really into all of it.
They
Let's
could be
just-
combined.
They
Yeah,
both
let's
have
do
a
a
lot of value.
weekend.
I was listening to a guy the other day
Feral
that
female weekend.
a guy
Oh
that
my
grew up in
gosh, I want to do
talking
that.
about the male experience of all of this. Like we can talk about the female
Yeah.
experience, but he was saying that he started getting erections and he was accused of being an ape. You know, his body was, he was an ape
Wait, so
because
Yeah.
you're saying he was a boy and he started developing and started getting erections, is what you're saying?
right in
Oh.
the Sea Org, and so they started telling him he was an ape. This was an ape drive, and that he wasn't a homo novus. You know, these were his desires, his physical needs and
Oh my
stuff were
gosh.
ape, and so
Animal like.
and so he had to start having horrible thoughts to control his erection so that he wouldn't have an erection, because that felt like a betrayal of who he was. And so he had to figure out a disgusting way to
That's
control.
fucking child abuse.
No,
That's
but
fucking child abuse. That's
Can
very
you
sad. That's
imagine?
awful.
And then how many years of doing that, and then how that would just debilitate you as an adult and then we need to have some of these streams talking about sexuality and all the issues that were created for us, like it's intimacy and all these things that have been a hard road after the Scientology stigma. But anyway, this guy, it was just horrific. And so it gave me a real insight into, it wasn't just the females and the 2D flowing stuff. Like really some guys struggled too. They were really.
That's why you and I were talking about doing a deep dive on hashtag Son of Scientology, because both of us, I mean, I'm fascinated by true crime. Charles Manson's always been like my fascination since way too young to be, because I knew he had dabbled, and I was like, this is fascinating that this man got all these people to do this. And I saw parallels super early to like charismatic leaders, but now having this Danny Masterson thing, I do want to explore that topic, Son of Scientology, and see how it affects men too, and boys who are raised in it developmentally. Sexuality and shame and embarrassment when it comes to masturbation is very prevalent in a lot of different organizations, but I think it's something we can all dive into, and I really freaking hope that we can do this again soon, you guys.
Okay, let's do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. This has been a joy.
I'm sad we lost Liz, but she has been in the chat this whole time, and she's killing it in there, just being the support sister we've needed, and I hope that she feels supported. I hope everybody here in the chat feels supported. Like we are just your friends chatting it out, because that's what we're doing, and we want you to feel good too. True Crimes, Son of Scientology. Yes, dive into that. Yeah, we're just going to talk about how it makes people feel when they grow up in this. So can't wait to see you guys again soon, ladies. Good night.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye. Have a great night.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.